Chosen ones. Someone is writing a letter right now. Their hands are shaking. Fear did not cause this trembling. Pure exhausted rage did. Every secret they swore to protect is about to spill onto those pages. Every cover story is about to unravel. Every hidden crime is about to see daylight. And here is the part that should send chills through your entire body. The person holding that pen was trained to destroy you. They were sent to take you down. Instead, they watched your light and something inside them cracked wide open. The programming broke. The mission failed. And now they are burning the whole operation to the ground. This is happening right now. A practitioner lies in a hospital bed at this very moment. Heart monitors are beeping slower by the hour. Doctors are using words like critical and unresponsive. But what is really happening cannot be treated with medicine. The body is shutting down because decades of darkness finally caught up. When this practitioner takes that last breath, an entire community loses its power, its authority, and every shred of cover it has been hiding behind. The walls are about to come crashing down. And the beautiful part, the trigger for all of this collapse was you, just you, standing in your light, refusing to break. Let me paint you the full picture, because understanding what is unfolding will change how you see everything that has happened to you. This practitioner was different from the rest. While others dabbled in darkness, this one made it a profession, the highest paid, the most skilled, the one everyone else called when regular methods failed. A specialty existed here. Death spells aimed at hearts, love spells twisted into energetic parasites, rituals designed to crack open your solar plexus and drain your inner child's light. That pure, joyful, creative essence you have protected your whole life was the target. That is what fuels the darkest magic, pure energy corrupted into shadow. Inside this person's chest, something was created decades ago, a portal, an actual energetic opening, connecting this realm to something lower, something hungry, something that feeds on stolen light. Every spell cast came through that portal. Every manipulation drew power from entities most people cannot even perceive. This practitioner became the channel, the conduit, the anchor, holding an entire organization's power structure in place. Think about that for a moment. One person, holding up everything. The leaders did not have real power. They had borrowed power. The rituals did not work because of collective energy. They worked because one person was burning their life force to fuel the whole machine. Every shield protecting the community from exposure, every spell keeping members confused and compliant, every manipulation making the leadership seem charismatic, all of it flowed through one source. Remove that source and everything collapses. The shield drops, the veil lifts. Suddenly everyone can see what has been happening in plain sight this whole time. This practitioner did not start out this way. Nobody wakes up one day and decides to become a vessel for darkness. There was a beginning, a choice made long ago when the path seemed less sinister. Perhaps it started with curiosity. Perhaps it started with pain. Perhaps it started with a desire for power that regular life could not provide. But somewhere along the way, a threshold was crossed. The first ritual that went too far. The first spell that required something darker than intended. The first compromise that could not be undone. And once that door opened, walking back through it became impossible. The entities on the other side do not release their channels easily. They sink their hooks deeper with every passing year. They demand more. They consume more. They hollow out the vessel until nothing remains but a shell serving their purposes. This practitioner stopped being fully human a long time ago. What lies in that hospital bed now is the remnant, the burned-out husk of someone who traded everything for power and is now paying the final price. Now here is where your story enters. Because you were specifically targeted, hard. Someone studied your joy and tried to weaponize it. Someone investigated your childhood looking for trauma doors that could be pried open. Someone examined how you broke karmic cycles, because trapping you in new ones became the goal. Someone obsessed over your healing journey, watching you transmute pain into power, desperate to understand how to reverse it. Someone documented how you loved yourself, trying to crack the code of your protection. Then everything was sent at you: death spells, dream manipulation, energetic attacks designed to weaken your heart, curses meant to drain your life force while you slept. Every single one bounced back, every single one. The practitioner could not understand it. How was someone this protected? How did nothing work? The obsession grew. Bigger spells were tried, darker rituals, more powerful curses. Each one bounced back harder than the last. And here is the divine comedy playing out in that hospital room right now. The accumulated blowback of years of failed attacks against you is exactly what is killing them. Heart attacks were sent your way. Your protection returned them. Life force was targeted for draining. The energy reversed course and drained the practitioner instead. Attempts were made to close your heart with fear. Instead, the practitioner's own heart is giving out. This is karma in real time. This is what happens when darkness attacks someone. The universe is marked as untouchable. The failure does not just mean trying again later. The failure means taking the hit yourself. Do you understand the magnitude of what your existence represents? The practitioner spent decades perfecting the art of destruction. Countless hours studying dark texts, endless rituals building power, connections forged with entities that most practitioners would never dare approach. All of that accumulated knowledge, all of that refined skill, all of that concentrated darkness, and it shattered against your light like waves against a mountain. The mountain did not even notice the waves. The mountain just stood there, being a mountain. That is what you did. You just stood there being you, and the greatest weapon this practitioner had ever developed broke upon contact with your frequency. So why are you so protected? Why did nothing work against you when it worked against others before you? Listen carefully, because this is the part most people do not understand. Your protection is written into your soul contract. Safety was guaranteed by forces that existed before this organization was even formed. Your light is backed by agreements made in realms where darkness has no access. Some of you walk with ancestral protection so old and so deep that dark magic looks at it and retreats. Some of you are wrapped in angelic frequencies that make demons flee on sight. Some of you carry Christ consciousness light, and no weapon formed against that energy will ever prosper. Some of you are protected by the earth herself because you have honored her, respected her, and she has placed a force field around you that dark practitioners cannot even approach. This protection is not theoretical, it is absolute. It is not dependent on whether you remembered to pray today or if you carried the right crystal. It is fundamental to who you are. It is cosmically ensured. When the universe decides someone is essential to the collective awakening, when Source determines that someone's frequency is needed for the planetary shift, that person becomes untouchable in ways that transcend normal spiritual protection. The practitioner was powerful by human standards, skilled by earthly measures, dangerous by conventional definitions. But when you are backed by forces that operate outside of time, outside of space, outside of the limitations that dark magic works within, no practitioner anywhere can touch you. Your survival proves this. Not luck, not coincidence. You were needed. Your presence here matters so much that nothing was allowed to remove you before your work is complete. Your ancestors knew this day would come. Generations ago, prayers were spoken over bloodlines. Protections were woven into family lineages. Sacrifices were made by people whose names you will never know, so that you could stand here today wrapped in armor. They forged through faith and devotion. When the practitioner sent those attacks, they were not just hitting your personal shield. They were hitting the accumulated protection of everyone who came before you. Every grandmother who prayed through the night. Every grandfather who stood firm against darkness in their own time. Every ancestor who chose light when darkness would have been easier. All of that lives in your field. All of that surrounds you. The practitioner was not just fighting you. The practitioner was fighting generations of warriors who refused to let their descendant fall. Now let me tell you what happens next. Because the practitioner's death is not just the end of one person, it is the beginning of a cascade that will shake everything. First, that portal in their chest slams shut permanently. All the entities that have been using them as a doorway lose access. All the dark energy that has been channeling into this community gets cut off at the source. The spells maintaining the veil over this organization start dissolving immediately. People who were under confusion start waking up. Memories that were fuzzy sharpen into clarity. Justifications that seemed reasonable suddenly sound hollow. Imagine a fog lifting across an entire community of people who did not even realize living in a fog was their reality. That is what is coming. Second, the leaders lose their authority. Not their titles, not their positions, their actual energetic authority to command and manipulate. Right now, when these people speak, others follow because an unseen force backs their words. That force is the practitioner's portal. When it closes, these leaders become just regular people with good marketing. Their charisma will look like manipulation. Their confidence will read as arrogance. Their spiritual language will sound empty. People are going to wonder how these charlatans were ever found compelling. Third, the money trail becomes visible. This organization has been moving funds in ways designed to avoid scrutiny. Donations supposedly went to charity. Fees were charged for spiritual services. Special offerings were collected for advanced teachings. All of it funneled through accounts and structures meant to hide where it really goes. But financial veils are connected to energetic ones. When the practitioner's shield drops, the money pattern becomes traceable. Records that were buried surface. Transactions that seemed legitimate raise questions. Investigators who were told to look away suddenly cannot ignore it anymore. Fourth, the bodies start being found. Not all of them. Some people who disappeared will stay disappeared, but enough evidence will surface to show a pattern. Enough testimonies will emerge to connect the dots. The person writing that letter knows names. Stories are documented. Which disappearances were not accidents. Which deaths were actually murders dressed up as natural causes. All of it is being written down. When that letter is sent, when that documentation goes public, investigations that should have happened years ago will be triggered. Law enforcement that looked the other way because some of them were part of the organization will not be able to maintain that stance. Outside pressure will force accountability. Fifth, everything goes viral. This is the kind of exposure that spreads like wildfire. Screenshots, survivor testimonies, video evidence, documents proving the cover-up, not just local news. This is the kind of exposure that gets picked up everywhere, depending on how deep the corruption goes. The organization is going to try damage control. The letter writer will be called disturbed. Claims will be made about lies from a disgruntled former member. Every manipulation tactic known will be deployed. It will not work. Once light exposes darkness, the darkness cannot be put back in the box. Let me tell you about the organization right now. Panic has set in, emergency meetings are happening, damage control strategies are being debated, discussions about how to spin the practitioner's death when it comes, worry about the financial implications because some of the biggest donors only gave money because belief in the practitioner's power was strong. There is also the legal exposure. The practitioner knew where all the bodies were buried because help was given in burying some of them. Which officials were paid off was known. Which members were blackmailed into staying was known. That knowledge created power within the organization, but it also created danger, because when someone dies, things get discovered. Medical examiners ask questions. Family members go through belongings. Legal processes begin. This practitioner kept records, notes, journals, documentation of what was witnessed and participated in. Maybe it was insurance, maybe it was guilt, maybe it was knowing that someday leverage would be needed. Whatever the reason, those records exist. When this person dies, someone is going to find them. The organization knows this. Plans are being made to get to those records first. Attempts have probably already been made and failed. The practitioner was smart enough to hide them well. Safety deposit boxes, lawyers with instructions, cloud storage with automatic release protocols. Contingencies were set up because the practitioner knew being a liability was the reality. Understanding existed that the organization might decide more value was found in death than in life, so protection was created. Now that protection becomes exposure, the letter being written connects to other evidence that will surface. Context is provided for the records that will be found. Names are given to the crimes that will be investigated. A narrative is created that makes sense of all the pieces about to scatter everywhere. The organization has tried to find a replacement. Frantic attempts have been made to identify someone who could step into the practitioner's role, but the requirements are too specific, too rare. The combination of natural ability, willingness to embrace complete darkness, and total absence of moral restraint does not exist in most people. Candidates have been tested, all have failed. Some could not open the portal, some opened it but could not maintain it. Some looked into what was required and ran. The practitioner was not just skilled, the practitioner was unique. A perfect storm of circumstances created this person. Replicating that storm is impossible on command. The organization is facing the reality that their power source cannot be replaced. Their entire model depended on one irreplaceable person, and that person is dying. You need to understand the scale of this. The practitioner had connections to other groups. People were trained who went on to start their own operations. Techniques were shared with practitioners in other regions. When this person's crimes are exposed, a domino effect begins. Other organizations come under scrutiny. Other practitioners get investigated. Other communities start questioning their leadership. All of it traces back to you. All of it connects to your refusal to be broken. Stems from your light being too strong to extinguish. The community that is about to lose everything has no idea how dependent existence was on one person. The rank-and-file members think the organization's power comes from the collective. Belief exists that the rituals work because everyone participates. The truth is not known. That one person has been holding up the entire structure is hidden. That the authority felt from leaders was actually borrowed from the practitioner is obscured. That the spiritual experiences during rituals were manufactured through the practitioner's portal is concealed. When that portal closes, when that power source dies, those people are going to feel it immediately, the spiritual equivalent of the power going out. One moment there is this sense of connection and energy and presence. The next moment there is just emptiness, silence, a hollow feeling where something used to be. People are going to look at each other wondering what happened. Why does this not work anymore? Why do I feel nothing? What changed? The leaders are going to try to maintain the illusion. The same rituals will be performed, the same words spoken, the same motions gone through, but it will not hit the same way. The energy will not be there. The presence will not manifest. Some leaders will blame the members. Claims about weakened faith, claims about lacking commitment. Scapegoats will be created and fingers pointed to distract from the real problem. But people who have been in the organization for years will remember how things used to feel. Something fundamental has changed, and this will be known. Eventually, someone will make the connection to the practitioner's death. That is when the questions get dangerous. If the practitioner's death caused this loss of power, what does that say about where the power was really coming from? If everything worked because of one person, was any of it real? Were people just being manipulated? Was energy just being fed to one person who was using everyone? The cognitive dissonance is going to break some minds. Entire identities were built around being part of this powerful spiritual community. Finding out it was all built on deception destroys sense of self, but that destruction is necessary. Sometimes you have to tear down a false identity to discover your true one. Sometimes you have to lose the fake power to find your real power. Sometimes you have to watch the empire crumble to realize the empire was never needed. Freedom always existed. Being trapped in a cage that looked like a castle was just the illusion. The practitioner's death is going to free people who do not even know imprisonment is their state. People who do not even know sleep is their state are going to wake up. Spells that people did not know were cast on them are going to break. Yes, it will be painful. Yes, it will be chaotic. Yes, it will feel like their whole world is ending. But that is because their whole world needs to end. A world built on lies and manipulation and stolen light deserves to end. And it is ending now. Here is what else happens when a practitioner of this level dies. Everyone ever touched energetically by this person is affected. Every person a spell was cast on, every individual who was cursed, every soul attempts were made to manipulate. A massive energetic release occurs. All the spells cast start to unravel. All the cords attached start to dissolve. All the hooks placed in fields start to withdraw. Dreams might become clearer. Energy might be felt moving in your body that has been stuck for years. Sudden realizations might come about past situations that never made sense before. A lighter feeling arrives, freer, like invisible chains that were never visible just fell off. That is the spells breaking. That is the cords cutting. That is your energy fully returning to you. Some of you have been operating at partial power for years because hooks in your field were draining you slowly. Adaptation happened. That became your normal energy level. Constant siphoning was happening without awareness. When those connections break, when that drain stops, feeling like yourself for the first time in forever becomes possible. Access returns to energy and clarity and power that was forgotten. Waking up from a long, exhausting dream. That is what this feels like. The person writing that letter deserves your understanding for a moment. This was someone who entered the organization believing in something, perhaps searching for meaning, perhaps seeking power, perhaps just wanting to belong to something larger than themselves. The organization knows how to recruit. The organization knows how to make people feel special. The organization knows how to create dependency. This person got pulled in deeper and deeper until turning back seemed impossible. Crimes were witnessed, crimes were participated in. Complicity became a chain, but something remained intact, some small piece of conscience that could not be fully extinguished. Your light reached that piece. When they got close enough to study you, to find your weaknesses, they saw something they did not expect. They saw genuine light. They saw authentic power. They saw everything the organization claimed to offer but never actually provided. And that small piece of conscience woke up. It started asking questions. It started remembering what truth felt like. It started planning an exit that would not just save them but expose everything. That letter is the result, written proof that even in the darkest places, light can reach someone ready to receive it. Let me tell you something crucial now. You were not the first person this practitioner targeted. You were not the first chosen one this organization tried to take down. Others came before you. People who carried similar light, people who had similar protection, people who also threatened the darkness just by existing. Some left the area. Some had their reputations destroyed. Some ended up in situations that broke their spirit, even if it did not break their body. And the organization learned from each attempt. Methods were refined. Attacks were perfected. By the time the focus shifted to you, the most advanced dark techniques developed over years of spiritual warfare were being used. The spells sent your way were the culmination of decades of experience taking down chosen ones. The curses aimed at you were specifically designed based on what worked on others. The manipulation attempted was the refined product of countless successful attacks, the absolute peak of their power, the height of their skill, the full force of accumulated knowledge about how to destroy light workers, and it was not even close. The full weight of darkness could not touch you. The refined product of years of taking down chosen ones was faced and dominated without even trying. When the universe decides someone is essential, when Source determines that someone's frequency is needed, that person becomes untouchable. You are not just protected, you are fundamentally necessary to the plan. You are not just guarded, you are essential to the timeline shift happening right now on this planet. The practitioner learned this the hard way. The organization is learning this now. Every dark practitioner watching this unfold is learning it too. When someone the universe has marked as essential is attacked, the attacker does not just fail, the attacker gets eliminated from the equation entirely. Other practitioners in other regions are watching what is happening. Word travels in those circles. The story of the practitioner who took on an untouchable chosen one and ended up in the hospital is spreading. The narrative of an organization losing its power source because attacks bounced back is being whispered. Fear is entering spaces that have operated with impunity for years. Recalculations are happening. Targets are being reconsidered. Some practitioners are deciding that certain people are simply not worth the risk. Your victory is creating protection for others who will never even know your name. Your survival is making other practitioners think twice before targeting chosen ones in the future. The ripple effects of your unbreakable light extend far beyond anything you can see directly. When this practitioner dies, a void opens, not just in the organization's power structure. In the entire regional spiritual ecosystem, this person was not just channeling darkness for one group. This person was a hub for multiple operations, a resource for various practitioners, a connection point for different networks. When that hub goes offline, when that resource disappears, when that connection point is severed, every operation tied to this person feels the impact. Other spiritual predators in the region were relying on this practitioner's portal for their own work. Other manipulators were drawing power from this person's channel. Other organizations were using this person's skills as a paid service. The death of this practitioner creates a cascade of failures across multiple groups, multiple operations, multiple networks. The void will not be filled easily. Finding someone willing to go as dark as this practitioner went is rare. Finding someone capable of maintaining a portal of that magnitude is rarer. Finding someone with both the willingness and the ability who also has no moral boundaries. That combination is nearly impossible. The organization knows this. The connected networks know this. Panic is already setting in at what is coming, and there is nothing anyone can do to stop it. Some members of the organization are already quietly making their own exit plans. The smarter ones can read the situation. The ones who joined for power are calculating whether staying is worth the risk. The ones who have their own secrets are wondering if those secrets will surface in the exposure. Side conversations are happening. Private meetings between members who trust each other. Discussions about what to do when everything falls apart. Some are planning to disappear. Some are planning to cooperate with investigators to save themselves. Some are planning to deny everything and hope their involvement cannot be proven. The unity that held the organization together is fracturing from within. Trust is dissolving, alliances are shifting, the rats are preparing to flee the sinking ship, and the ship is definitely sinking. So here is what happens next for you. With the practitioner dying, with the hooks dissolving, with the drain stopping, a level of power approaches that has not been experienced before, not because something new is being gained, because everything that was taken is finally returning, everything that was blocked, everything that was suppressed, remembering who existed before the attack started, accessing abilities that were dormant while under siege, shining at a frequency that could not be reached while actively being targeted. This is the next chapter, not survival, thriving, not defense, creation, not protection, expansion, expansion. The war is over. Victory belongs to you. Now comes the experience of what life looks like when constant defense against spiritual attacks is no longer necessary. Discovery of what is possible when full energy is available for creation instead of protection. seeing how bright the light actually shines when nothing is trying to dim it. Everything will look effortless, moving through life with such grace, such ease, such flow, creating things that seem impossible to others because full power is restored, manifesting realities that others think take years because energy that is no longer being drained is available for work. The next chapter will be legendary, not from trying to make it so, from finally being free to be everything that was always meant to be. The practitioner's death is not just the end of their existence, it is the beginning of yours. The organization's collapse is not just their downfall, it is your liberation. The exposure of these crimes is not just about justice for past victims, it is about clearing the path for your future. Everything happening right now is happening to set you free in ways freedom has not been experienced in years, maybe in your entire life. What gets done with that freedom is going to change everything. The organization's collapse is going to be messy and public and uncomfortable to watch, but it is necessary. These operations rely on secrecy and shadows to survive. Exposure is fatal. Once the light gets in, once people see what has really been happening, recovery becomes impossible. Rebranding might happen, relocating might happen, the name and structure might change, but the core group of leaders and practitioners who knew what was being done are finished. Reputations destroyed, spiritual authority revoked, ability to manipulate people gone. The practitioner lying in that hospital bed underestimated you, the organization plotting against you miscalculated, the darkness targeting you made a fatal error. Assumptions were made that power comes from external sources, from rituals and spells and entities and portals. What was not understood is that real power is internal. True protection comes from alignment with source. Genuine authority comes from integrity and authenticity. Everything was built on a foundation of stolen light, and now the learning is happening about what occurs when standing on something that was never yours to take. On the other hand, a foundation was built on truth, on healing, on choosing light, even when darkness seemed easier, on protecting your inner child, even when the world said to grow up and get hard, on maintaining joy, even when circumstances suggested misery, on loving yourself, even when everyone around you said not enough. That foundation is unshakable. That foundation is eternal. That foundation cannot be taken or destroyed by external forces. So when the practitioner dies, when the organization falls, when the community scatters, standing exactly where standing has always been remains possible, grounded in truth, centered in power, glowing with light, untouched by the chaos surrounding everything else. People are going to wonder how such calm was maintained, such stability, such peace in the middle of the storm. Some lessons people have to learn themselves. Some wisdom cannot be taught. It has to be lived. The death of this practitioner marks the end of an era of darkness, masquerading as light. The fall of this organization represents the beginning of real accountability in spiritual spaces. The exposure of these crimes is going to make other corrupt practitioners think twice before targeting chosen ones, because what happens when someone the universe has marked as protected is attacked will be seen, crumbling empires will be watched, understanding will develop that attacking light carries consequences that cannot be escaped. Living proof exists now that protection is real, that divine backing is not metaphorical, that chosen ones are untouchable when alignment is maintained. The practitioner is dying not because curses were sent back, not because fighting happened, but because the universe does not tolerate sustained attacks on those who carry light for the collective. Random existence is not the reality. Being a beacon is the reality. Being an anchor point is the reality. Being essential to the shift happening on this planet is the reality. Anything that tries to extinguish gets extinguished instead. This is the final lesson the organization is learning. Building power by stealing it does not work. Creating authority by manipulating people does not work. Maintaining cover by hiding in shadows does not work. Eventually the truth catches up. Eventually consequences arrive. Eventually karma completes its circle. When it does, everything built on falsehood collapses, while everything built on truth remains standing. The timing of all this is not accidental. This is happening now because the collective is ready. The planetary frequency has shifted to a point where darkness of this magnitude can no longer hide. What worked for decades is suddenly not working anymore. Covers that held firm are suddenly dissolving. Secrets that stayed buried are suddenly surfacing. This is not just about one practitioner or one organization. This is about a fundamental change in what is permitted to operate on this planet. The old ways of manipulation and control and stolen power are being dismantled everywhere. The practitioner's death is part of a much larger pattern. Dark operations around the world are experiencing similar collapses. Systems that relied on keeping people asleep are finding that people are waking up faster than they can be put back under. This moment right now is a turning point. And your survival, your unbreakable light, your absolute protection is proof that the new era has already begun. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Someone is writing a letter with shaking hands. Rage causes the trembling now. Protecting secrets is finished. What is about to be exposed will bring down an empire built on stolen light. The practitioner's heartbeat is fading, the organization's power is draining, and through all of it, standing in light remains steady, untouched, unbroken, undeniable. This is what victory looks like, not destroying them, watching them destroy themselves, trying to destroy you. The chosen one shines, and you, beautiful soul, you already knew this was coming. Somewhere deep inside, this outcome was always felt. The attacks would fail, the darkness would retreat. The truth would surface, justice would arrive. Now watch it unfold, watch the empire crumble, watch the veil lift, watch the truth set everyone free. Everything that was taken is returning, every drop of energy that was siphoned is flowing back. Every ability that was suppressed is reactivating. Every dream that was put on hold is ready to manifest. The practitioner stole time from you. The organization stole peace from you. The attacks stole energy from you. All of it returns now with interest. The universe does not forget what was taken from its chosen ones. Restitution is built into the system. What darkness steals, light reclaims multiplied. Your next season is not just recovery, it is overflow. It is abundance beyond what was lost. It is joy that makes the pain seem like a distant memory. Everything returns, everything restores, everything multiplies. The next chapter begins now. Full power restored, full energy available, full light shining. Go be everything you were meant to be. The war is over. You won.